What's up, YouTube? It's the Misfit and my co-host Zordawn. We're bringing another hot video to you guys today about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It's based off of the initial video game Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk takes place in Night City, where the Arasaka Corporation runs a majority of it, and it's a very corrupt city. It focuses on a man named David Martinez, and it is a one-shot. There's not going to be another season, so this is all we're getting, and I think it is a little gem that we have here. And it was also created by CD Projekt Red, who actually created the game as well. It was supervised along the way throughout with Studio Trigger, who created the anime series to get the masterpiece we have this year. Obviously, it won Anime of the Year, and now I'm going to kick it over to Zordawn for some first impressions for the anime for any of the viewers who haven't actually watched the anime yet.
Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a new anime that reminds you of some older anime from maybe the 90s and 2000s. You might recognize some older anime styles. It's hand-drawn, futuristic, kind of like Ghost in the Shell or Gundam, where it has the futuristic vibe. It's really gritty, and it's not like an isekai like most of the anime. Fighting scenes are well choreographed within the show. It's probably the highlight of the show. Whenever action scenes are going on, there's big explosions and just great choreography for the hand-to-hand combat or maybe some sword fighting that may be included within whatever scene is happening. So the action in Cyberpunk is very gritty and gory. Be warned, it's very Mad Max style, but it does have a lot of things that remind us of The Matrix as well. The story is a very good original story. It has to be simple. There's only 10 episodes within Cyberpunk Edgerunners, so it makes sense within that time frame. But it is supported by a very strong main cast as well as supporting cast that are able to maybe even be better. I think some of them are written just as well or even better than the main characters of the story. Again, the art style is very refreshing. Check it out if you're into older anime, or if you just want to see something different, something original that doesn't look like your cookie cutter isekai anime. Back to the Misfit with more information about our main character, David Martinez.
Okay, so our main character, David Martinez, is fresh in high school. He's a young kid, gets really good grades. His mom and him are very poor in this society, and you get to see that gap in between classes and really how it shows in the cyberpunk society, which is even more heavily in tune, just because if you got tech, if you got chrome, you're going to be on top. And that's why Edgerunners do what they do, because they want to chrome up, they want to climb that ladder and get kind of where these Arasaka guys and all these big corporations that make all the tech and monopolize it, where they're kind of sitting at in the society. Obviously, it takes place in Night City, where the game takes place as well. David has some issues at school. He kind of, doesn't like it too much, too easy for him. He likes to be out on the street and just do his own thing. He's always messing with this doctor, who really is the cornerstone of getting the story started. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit more into the meat of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And obviously, spoiler warning for any of you who haven't watched the show. Please go watch the show and come back to us, so we can discuss about a beautiful, amazing story that got put out this year by Netflix and Studio Trigger. But getting back a little more into it, our main character is obviously David Martinez. It's kind of a coming-of-age story where he starts out in high school, like a lot of shonen tropes do. But he's in high school, he gets really good grades, he's a smart kid, but he comes from a very poor family, which is a very, very big obstacle in cyberpunk. I mean, even more so than what we would have today in our society. Being struck in poverty, I mean, you can't even get health care. When his when his mom dies, as you guys know, it's crazy to me that they just pass her along. Hey, she doesn't have insurance. Who cares? If she dies, she dies. He can't even see his mom in her final moments. So that right there really pulls you into the story. Off rip, it kind of gives you that big crisis moment that he needs, and which leads him to eventually dropping out and becoming a cyberpunk. This is where he actually meets his mentor, Maine, because lo and behold, obviously we find out that his mom has been doing whatever she can to get David into school and make sure that he can have a better life. And so he ends up finding, obviously, the Sandevistan. And oh man, the fact that just gets everything rolling, which obviously Doc is the one who initially installs this into David, which gets everything going. And then he meets Lucy, which brings him into the fold of Maine's crew. And then his cornerstones really have been Maine, Lucy, and his mom that really get the story moving. And I think maybe Zordawn would agree with me here, but Maine possibly had a better story than David, in my opinion. He was probably one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite. And I do think we don't need to get too much into it, but I think he definitely bowed out a little too soon in the series. I know we only got 10 episodes, which would have been great if we could get like a 12 to 13. They could have flushed it out just a tad more at the end, which I think is one of the main things that was missing. But we will go back to Zordawn over here for more of a deep dive.
I do agree with Misfit. The anime was a little bit too short. I wish that we were able to stick with these characters more. 10 episodes didn't feel enough. It was felt like some of the story was we just got a small glimpse into their lives. But some story arcs took like 2 episodes. The final story arc may have taken 4 with 2 set up and then the 2 finale. But I didn't like how short it was. That's my biggest criticism of the anime. The other criticism I do have is that Maine was probably one of the best characters in the anime. He was a supporting character that David looked up to as more of a father figure, a mentor, and he had a really strong foundation. I really love seeing him on screen and his action sequences as well. But the episode where you see him start to get sick with a cyberpsychosis, I think it was gone a little bit too soon. I wanted to explore a few more stories with him. And I think he had bigger presence on screen than our main character, David, at least until his death and that time skip happened with David. Another criticism, just small, is that, again, we didn't have enough time with David. We went straight to the time skip, and then we went straight into the final arc. I think David had cyberpsychosis episode 1 of his time skip. I wish this was a 24-episode anime. It would have been great, and we would have been able to explore the characters more, but it is what it is. Even with 10 episodes, they were able to get Anime of the Year and Studio Trigger, animating an original story as well as setting the bar for nostalgic type of futuristic anime. If there's anything I could change about the story, I would probably want to change one character dying. I feel like at the end, Rebecca dying didn't really need to happen. It was more for shock value. And she's survived so much up to that point. She's done so much for the group. I feel that she deserved at least a happy ending, but she met her demise in the last few minutes of the episode. I'm going to throw it back to the Misfits so he can give you a few thoughts about the anime.
Well, I totally agree with Zordawn over here, especially just leading off of that on Rebecca dying. I loved her as a character. She was a crazy little thing. It was like, for me, she was like a miniature Harley Quinn, and I loved it. She was wild, and she was a writer for David. That was the big thing. Like in the crew, I mean, Lucy even saw him having issues and didn't really try to barge in, mainly because she didn't want him to try to push in on what was going on with her. So I get that. But Rebecca was really there for David and trying to help him, especially throughout the end. And I mean, throughout the whole thing, like obviously she died at the finale, and it makes you sad that she did, especially with her brother dying several episodes before, which, in my opinion, one of the best scenes of the series. I mean, man, every time David would use the Sandevistan, I'm just like, ooh, he on that like Matrix flash speed, and then back to just anime that are similar. I was a very big Ghost in the Shell fan, and just the concept of what that leads to for any of the folks watching this that have watched Ghost in the Shell, and the ideologies that come throughout that anime and the sci-fi. And I feel like Cyberpunk, one, it was true to the game, obviously, and then it also is very similar to the idea and process of basically integrating technology into our bodies and the ramifications that come with that. And I think that fresh look and just that having a different story than some random isekai or some adventure that has been just used over and over because it's been so popular as of late. That along with it was just so poppy. I mean, the vibrant colors were amazing for me, and that made me not want to stop watching it. Plus, with all the action that encompassed, I mean, every time there was an action scene where David was using his Sandevistan, just the whole animation and the way that he would move throughout time. And I mean, even with some of the other tech as well, I can't remember his name, but the Arasaka president's son that bullied David. I mean, when his first fight, I will say that the way that whole fight scene took place before David got the Sandevistan, that was also another one of the best animated scenes in my opinion. But I think overall, again, we needed a little bit more, and I'm sad that we're not going to get that. But hopefully, Studio Trigger and Project Red may bring us some more cyberpunk stories about other folks, and I can't wait to see what they bring because I'm sure it's going to be fire.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you liked anything we had to say, please make sure to leave a comment down below. Make sure to like, subscribe. More content will be coming in the future. We're working on a new project where we are going to be taking a look at future anime for spring 2023. If you have anything that you're really excited about, please let us know below. Other than that, thanks for sticking it out to the end of the video. Have a great day and happy hunting.
And just fire fucking coming down. I can't think of its name right now. It starts with L. But yeah, when he destroyed that it's just dropping fucking flames. He's burning the world.